Welcome to the first ever installment of Pure Flavor, a podcast about the producers and the ideas behind food, and then also where we take that and turn it into a recipe right before your very eyes. I'd like to introduce my on-camera cohorts today. Laura Smith, my longtime cooking wingman, aka Ed McMahon of our set here, and Julie Rindle, who's coming in from her farm called Silence of the Lamb Farm. We're going to be talking to her today about how she got into the lamb business, the sheep business. What are lambs exactly? What's the difference between this kind and that kind? And then, of course, Laura and I are going to head into the kitchen and cook some of this very same animal. Now, tell us again, where is Silence of the Lamb Farm?
We're located in Starling, Washington, which is just outside of West Seattle.
Wow, that's pretty close in.
It is very close in. No one knows that there's a lot of really rich farmland right outside of the city.
Now, your ranch, is it a ranch or is it a farm?
It's a farm.
It's a farm, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have all sorts of lamb products or sheep products? Do you do wool?
Actually, we
do not. Mutton stew?
We don't do wool because lamb, like cows, they're bred to produce, milk or wool or meat, and so we only have a kind of lamb that is hardy and muscular to produce great meat.
So it's a special. Your breed is a specialist
right.
in the meat production.
It's been bred over time to create great meat. So.
And what is this breed?
It's called the Dorper. It's a South African breed, and
the Dorper.
The Dorper.
Whoa.
Yes.
It sounds made up.
It's not made up.
It's not. Is it a pygmy breed or?
It's a real. No, they weigh about 220 pounds. So the actual sheep does.
The actual sheep weighs 220 pounds.
They don't have wool. They are a hair kind of lamb, which is
a
really
woolless sheep.
Yes, which is actually the kind of sheep that you have to get your meat from.
Tell me of this lamb. Mm-hmm. It's baby sheep. How old?
They're slaughtered between about 8 to 12 months here in America. A lot of lamb comes from Australia and New Zealand, and they'll sometimes slaughter between 6 to 8 months. So their lamb breeds
younger
are
lamb.
Yeah, and they're much smaller, and different
because
kind
they're
of lamb
younger,
than we do here.
Or they're a different kind of
different
lamb.
kind of breed, but they're also slaughtered younger than what we do here in America. So, and it's just all an opinion of taste of what you think.
And let's talk about what are the differences from a cooking standpoint between that? Is it higher in fat, lower in fat?
It's purely what somebody might prefer taste-wise. Some people would say that New Zealand lamb is sweeter. Some would say it's gamier. It purely depends on what a person likes out of their lamb, what kind of flavors they're going for. And obviously,
so stronger flavors out of the Southland.
Right, but some people would disagree with that. So, I personally think
it's
about the breed.
I
know. I personally think it's more about the breed and what they're eating and how they're raised and the kind of train they're in that affects the flavor of the meat, not the size of the lamb or.
So it's the color of the fat that really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. And the color of the meat.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And
the darker the purple,
that's why,
because
of course, in beef, you eat veal and beef, and so the age of the animal, and even really old animals, are ground up for hamburger. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come off your farm and talk to us about lamb.
I have a question.
You're welcome.
What cut of lamb did you bring for us to prepare today?
I brought you a delicious leg of lamb, one of the more popular cuts.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We look forward to testing it out.
Julie, great to meet you.
Great meeting you too, Kurt.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
So, Laura, let's cook.
Okay, here we go.
All right, Laura, let's get ready to cook here. I got here the wonderful leg of lamb that Julie brought us. It's about a 4.5 pound leg. It's already deboned, has a wonderful fat cap on this side and open on this side. I think that the tendency would be with a big leg of lamb like this is to do it as a roast. But today, let's try it as individual portions rather than as a roast. We're gonna start by breaking this thing down, 4.5 pounds. Let's break it down into, what size do you think we should make for an individual portion? About 6 ounces?
Yeah, 6 or 7 ounces.
Okay, and let's try to leave some of that fat cap on each piece. So I'm thinking something along the lines like this. is our roast. And of course, we're gonna marinate this and then sear it and then bake it. It's all gonna kind of suck up into a little ball.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm thinking pieces about that big. You want to give that a weight and see
Sure.
what it works, what it is?
So that's actually about 9.5 ounces.
Okay. Well, let's leave it at that. At
Okay.
9.5 ounces. We're gonna sear it on the fat cap.
Okay.
So we won't be worried about that. And that's gonna melt away and just create a nice flavor for us. What I'm doing here is trying to find natural divisions in the leg that makes it easy to cut. And so the piece of meat almost tells you where it wants to be cut. And if you're just kind of trying to get them to the same size piece. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 portions out of 4.5 pounds. So that's like a 6 to 9 ounce piece, which I think is a great size for a piece of meat like this. I think this is going to be great. Now, whenever I think of lamb, I always think of Middle East. So I think today we're going to go with some Middle Eastern kinds of flavors. But it's also spring here in Seattle, and so we're going to try as much as we can to keep this light. What we discussed earlier is the idea of marinating these and then serving them with a salsa that would combine some Mediterranean flavors like capers and some sweet and also some sharp flavors, and trying to get a real balance of the sweet, sour, salty, bitter in this one product.
Well, I think garlic is a natural.
Okay.
I've got some garlic that I peeled.
You've already peeled?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that nice to have someone on the set to help you in that area? So I'm just going to smash some garlic. We've got about 6 garlic cloves. So it's
kind of
what that really works out to be is a little less than a clove per piece. It's not going to be as garlicky as it sounds, because by the time you marinate it and then cook it, a lot of the stuff comes off the outside. So you won't get this big, horrible garlicky flavor with this much garlic over that much meat, especially the way we're preparing it. What are we going to add to this? We're going to add some curry powder, maybe something a little bit hot, a little bit of cayenne, kind of, to just, not a lot, but just a little bit to bring up the heat. So I'm putting that in our bowl. What else?
salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. So a little. So rule of thumb be.
My rule of thumb is a teaspoon per pound as a starting point for.
Okay, so that'd
you got
be
about 4 pounds. So
1 pound. So probably about 4 big pinches. 1, 2, 3, 4 big pinches of salt. I want to make this a little coarser. I think this will be better if you get little hints of pepper rather than an overall pepper flavor. I like to have little bigger pieces that kind of get into folds, so it makes it for a differential flavor as you're eating it. So this is kind of a medium to coarse ground pepper. That probably would measure out to about a tablespoon by the time you're done. So we've got about 2 to 3 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper, which is usually kind of a 2 to 1 ratio, usually to salt and pepper. And now we're going to add some curry powder.